Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it's Monday, and that means we're back. Another week of live radio right here on the Kev Baker Show on Truth Frequency Radio Network. It's so great to be back, and I encourage everyone, if you haven't checked out all of the other shows over at tfrlive.com, please do so. There is something there for everyone, as I like to say. And not only that, but it's where you get protection from deception. And I think we can tell there's a lot of deception flying about nowadays, right? You know, if you'd been watching certain corners of the internet just recently, you might have been expecting to wake up today and the world has all of a sudden gotten better. Gitmo is supposed to be filling to the brim with all of these bad guys from the shadowy world of the deep state and things like that. Yet, alas, yet more failed promises and predictions come and go when today's Investigator General report came out. Yes, indeed. And I'm going to have great fun after today's show, going and taking a look around the internet to go and see just what kind of damage control is underway from, you know, those people that are obsessed with the 17th letter of the alphabet. So yes, it's going to be a good show tonight, ladies and gents. I've got lots to get into. And you will be pleased to hear that in hour number 2, yes, hour 2 of the show, we're going back to something we started a couple of weeks ago, maybe over a month ago now. And we're going to be opening up the phone lines. Yes, indeed. I want to hear from all of you. And if you could keep it paranormal, supernatural, strange, weird, woo as we call it here, that would be even better. But you can call up and you can speak about and you can ask me anything. And we'll be doing that in the second hour of today's show. And I'm going to be taking it kind of easy today because if you were there last night with myself and Scotty Lopez, and more to the point, our good German friend, Max. Well, what a show that was. And I don't typically call the weekend YouTube streams a show. Now, for anyone new coming here in the Kev Baker Show for the first time on TFR, you might not know much about me. I was on YouTube, I'm still on YouTube, and that's how I ended up with a show on Truth Frequency. But in recent times, now, wait till I think where I was going there. I actually think I've forgotten what I was talking about there. Can you believe that? This is what happens on the Kev Baker Show as well, okay? This is what happens here as well. I can't even remember. Yes, I remember last night's stream. Dang, almost forgot, right? So yeah, so when I do weekend streams away from TFR, I just call it a stream. It's just chilling out with the guys. It's Scott and Joe and in recent weekends, we've had Max calling in on the Sunday. Now, last night, it was really interesting because we were talking about Krampus. We were talking about St. Nicholas. And, of course, very timely with the period of year that we're in now, the festive period upon us. But then we started to get into some really deep information concerning Germanic and then more so Nordic mythology. Now, at one point, I was sitting here and I was thinking, where is this all going? Because it's all really interesting, but I couldn't see where the whole eureka moment was going to be, or if there was even going to be a eureka moment. Well, let's just say, folks, that last night, for the first time in my knowledge, anywhere online, we had somebody putting together the fact that within the Edda scrolls, as the Nordic people, that's the documents, the literature, the lore, the traditions of these people. In there, it has a story about warriors and Valhalla and a number of rooms and the number of warriors. And it's all very kind of weird and mystical and magical. And at first glance, it doesn't really make much sense. But then what Max done was he showed how it could, I say could because we've got no definitive proof, but it worked for me, how this could in fact fit with the math, of the pentagram, which was interesting enough. But not only that, but it also seemed to point us in the direction of atomic kind of information. Yes, indeed. And in fact, if you go back and listen to last night's stream, which is on the Kev Baker Show YouTube channel, then you're going to hear, like I say, one of the first times, I think anyway, that somebody's put together some really key information that's critical to our time today that was encoded way back thousands of years ago, pre-flood. It's mind-blowing. And when I got up today, aside from the fact I was shocked that nobody was getting rounded up and taken to Guantanamo, I had to really sit down and think about last night's show because that's some really powerful information. And I've often heard the Vedic texts and Sanskrit and the other languages out there, some of them indicating, pointing towards some deeper, higher knowledge of math. And that's really cool. That's really pretty cool. But there's also talk of these cultures, these people, and nuclear technology as well. And we hear stories about sand being fused to glass and all the rest of it. Never when it comes to the Nordics. So I've never heard that before. Never heard that. So I hope that gives the newer listeners, viewers, an opportunity to see the kind of things that we do here. Yeah, I like to keep it light. I like to do this with a smile on my face, and I love to try and remain optimistic in the face of madness. However, at the same time, we are very serious about what we're doing, and we're all sharing this journey, looking for deeper truths, deeper knowledge. And I think last night took us somewhat closer to some of that. So a big shout out to Max, and like I say, please check out that show if you get the chance to do so. Now, you can hang out over at tfrlive.com. All you got to do is go to tfrlive.com/chat. And in there, you can hang out with so many people. There's just so many in there. Please head on over. You've got Bam. You've got me. You've got Sophia the robot. The Wookiee's in there. Good friend Armand. And Armand, I know that you've recommended a guest to me, and the guest is willing to come on. I'm going to check all of that out behind the scenes, brother. And I'll certainly get that lined up in the near future. We've got Smelly Pits, OMG, fantastic name. All One, The Kind Soul, and Gentle Civilian. Now we're going out live on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, TalkStream Live as well, and also simulcasting over on YouTube. So a big warm welcome to each and every one of you. Now I come to you live from Smart City, Glasgow. And it was just before today's show, I'd been sent a link by my mum. She thought I'd probably be interested in this, and I was. And quite bad news, unfortunate news for anyone local to myself here. And I know we do have some local listeners, but a massive fire had broken out, a set of flats in Glasgow. Fortunately, though, there has been no loss of life from what I can hear. And 60 firefighters are currently tackling a major blaze at a block of flats in Glasgow. And the place that this is affecting is called Lancefield Quay on the north bank of the Clyde, and it all kicked off, I would say, 3 hours ago. And it says the fire service sent 12 appliances to a well-developed fire in the second floor of a 3-storey building. No reports of injuries. So it's kind of like the flats where I stay. You get 3 floors, and there's 2 flats on each floor if it's similar to that. So yeah, big shout out, and obviously thoughts go to anyone that's been affected in that. And again, any time of year something like that happens, it's horrific, it's horrid. But this time of year, it just seems multiplied because we're coming up towards Christmas. So then, more kind of local news if you're over here in the UK. And we laugh on the Kev Baker Show. I laugh for a number of reasons. Well, I laugh for so many reasons when you think about it. But we talk about the weather a lot in the UK, in Scotland in particular. And sometimes you would honestly think we've got nothing else better to talk about. Well, it might just be that for once we might have some decent weather that's worthy of talking about. Because tomorrow says here that the weather is the UK is braced for 1 100-mile-per-hour winds on Tuesday as forecasters warn of disruption. So, Anne, just think about it. Couple of bags tomorrow and you can fly to work. There you go. The wind will carry you there. So it says here, winds of up to 100 miles per hour are set to batter parts of the UK on Tuesday, forecasters have warned. And I've got to go out tomorrow. Can you believe it? Nightmare. It follows Storm Ataya, which brought winds of up to 70 miles per hour to the southwest of England and Wales and caused disruption to transport and power networks in Ireland. You know, in Scotland, we had real bad winds the past few days to the point where the lights were flickering the other night just when we were getting ready to go on the stream. Anne was convinced we were going to get a power cut, but touch wood, nothing so far. But yeah, 100-mile-per-hour winds. Now that's something to get concerned about if you're going to be in one of these areas. A severe yellow weather warning for wind is in place across northern England, North Wales, parts of Northern Ireland and much of Scotland, while a further yellow weather warning for rain covers western Scotland. Delays are likely to road, rail, air and ferry transport, and short-term loss of power is possible in some areas. So yeah, and it looks like it's going to be battering in. We see Scotland here in particular. Looks like we're going to be getting gusts between 40 and 60 miles per hour. Not too bad. And then we've also got the heavier wind and rain coming in up the south coast of England by the looks of it, into North England. So yeah, listen, in the UK, we can't handle 1 inch of rain and about 10 miles per hour of wind. It's ridiculous. Everything comes to a standstill. I don't know why. In the year 2019, we can allegedly put rovers up onto the surface of Mars, drive them about, no problem. Yet we can't keep our own roads and transport systems open down here when you get a bit of wind and rain. And bear in mind, we are an island set of nations, folks. It's not like this bad weather's anything new. We should be used to it by now, right? Right? Now then, let me get to another piece of news that really caught my eye last night just before heading off to bed. But we've got listeners down in New Zealand, and often I give a shout out to Andrea down in New Zealand over in the TFR chat room. I'm just going to take a check out. I was hoping we would see Andrea in there today because overnight we had something really awful happening, and it was a volcano that erupted down in New Zealand. And unfortunately, at the time, a number of tourists were actually out on an excursion, sightseeing in and around the crater of this volcano as it erupted. So the first headline we go to here, and it's Sky News. They say the New Zealand volcano eruption, 2 British women are in hospital, and dozens of people were on White Island when the volcano erupted, spewing plumes of smoke and debris thousands of feet into the air. So it says 2 British women are in hospital after being injured in the volcanic eruption in New Zealand. The UK High Commissioner to the country has said. Laura Clark confirmed the details after New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said people from the UK, the US, New Zealand, Australia, China and Malaysia were among those affected by the eruption on White Island on Monday. And speaking at a media briefing, Ms Ardern said that there were 47 people on the island. 5, unfortunately, have lost their lives. 8 are missing, presumed to have lost their lives, unfortunately. And 31 are in hospital, with 3 discharged overnight. Now, from what I can make out, this is a popular excursion spot for tourists down there. And in recent times, there has been an uptick in seismic activity. Now, there's been further warnings over on the Daily Mail, which talks about the potential for landslides and further catastrophe. And I just want to read you a little bit of this here. And as I always do when it comes to Earth changes type news, stuff like that, I always recommend people check out Dutch Synths over on YouTube. Does a really good job of this kind of stuff. In fact, some would argue that he probably does a better job than the US GS or the BS GS or any of the recognized kind of seismic groups out there. But that aside, you can also check people like Ben Davidson, who deals with the space weather, the magnetic field around the planet. You know, there's so many things that can cause volcanoes, earthquakes, stuff like that. And it's not for me to speculate as to what may or may not have been the cause here, because if you ask me, logically speaking, probably a very natural disaster. But again, I've not looked at it in any great depth. I'm sure there'll be people out there saying that it's part of some greater scheme, something else going on, weather weapons as such. I'm not denying that these things exist, and I'm not denying that these things happen. But when it's somewhere like this, I don't know. And again, hands up, total honesty, I haven't really dug into the depths of it or any of the kind of stuff that was going on in and around the time that this happened. But it says the devastating volcanic eruption on New Zealand's White Island, which has already claimed at least 5 lives, could trigger subsequent landslides, eruptions, and tsunamis. And it's scientists that have been warning this. Chris Elders, professor of geology at Curtin University, School of Earth and Planetary Sciences, told Mail Online that the ash belching out of the volcano Huacari could trigger a downpour of rain, and ash particles thrown up into the atmosphere are good at attracting and collecting water droplets in clouds, resulting in heavy rain after an eruption. This in turn could cause unstable rock, which formed immediately after the eruption, to be washed down the sides of the volcano in a landslide, and potentially fatal consequences for both rescue workers and tourists who are still on the island. It is not safe for rescue workers to land on that island, Professor Elders said. And when you get an eruption like this, the ash deposits very quickly and creates rocks which are extremely unstable, he said. Any rainfall, which can be triggered by the ash sent into the atmosphere, could cause a landslide if the unstable rocks come loose. So yeah, that's like I say, when I seen this break-in last night, I just had to try and imagine what that must be like. You know, you're there, you're in some idyllic setting, and then all of that starts kicking off. Dearie me, unbelievable. So it says large volcanic events, such as the White Island eruption, can often cause subsequent disasters. Sorry, folks, need the coffee. Can't beat some coffee out of the Wookiee mug, I'm afraid. No, I'm not selling the Wookiee mugs, in case you thought that was a shameless plug. Nothing like that. So, carrying on here, it said the eruption of Krakatoa in 1883 caused enormous tsunamis, as did an eruption of Mount Tayed in Tenerife on the Canary Islands. Now, if rock from the mountain slides down into the sea, when that happens, it displaces the proportionate amount of water and causes a wave. And that's Professor Elders saying that again. And the violent volcanic eruption on New Zealand's White Island was caused by the ocean's crust being subducted or pushed under another part of the Earth's crust. Now, this subduction that it talks about, this is something that what people in the Pacific Northwest area of the US, they have to be very, very observant about subduction zones indeed, because it's just off there. And bear in mind, of course, this too on the Ring of Fire, like White Islands. In fact, you could probably say it was the exact opposite location, because it's the far corner away from where White Islands is down in New Zealand. But up there, the Cascadia subduction zone, that's somewhere that I've heard people talking about for years. One of these areas that if it does go, then the chances of a tsunami being generated are potentially quite high. And from there, well, that has a knock on effect, and you can only imagine what damage that could do if it was to come inland on some populated area. So, yeah, subduction zones. This is something I used to look into a heck of a lot when I was researching topics such as HARP, weather manipulation, stuff like that. Anytime I used to have Ilana Freeland on the show, I'm going to have to reach out to Ilana. It's been a while since I've had her on. But yeah, this is the kind of thing I used to look into. And I often used to wonder, as did many, as to the effects of planetary alignments on some of these things. I remember at one point there was somebody out there doing it was a so many day cycle, and it was quite uncanny. Now, was it hard science proven out by math, or was it coincidence and patterns being made in our mind that maybe didn't truly exist? I don't know. I keep my mind open. I really, really do. And I find it really interesting out of that whole ring of fire. And I'm not going conspiratorial, but I just say I find it interesting. Not that I ever want it to happen anywhere near the US coast. I don't want a big earthquake near any coast, folks, okay? But isn't it interesting how the part of the US, i.e. along that west coast, it's where Silicon Valley, California, it's where a lot of the money is, right? A lot of it. And I get it, Washington's the other side of the country, but when you look at the frequency of earthquakes around the Ring of Fire, the Pacific Rim, you know, it's quite weird. It's almost a statistical anomaly how there hasn't been a bigger earthquake in and around that area recently, because everywhere else seems to have been affected by them. You know, Japan, it's constant, right? It's ringing like a bell over there. And we can go back and we can think about the whole Fukushima thing that happened there. Other parts around the Ring of Fire, we've had massive earthquakes as well, 7s, 8s, 9s. It just makes you wonder why it is that part is so immune, shall we say, to pressure popping off in it. I don't know. And like I say, I'm not going conspiratorial. And I've got friends in California. Nano Girl stays there, Whistle's family's there, Clyde Lewis. Oh, whole heap of people. People I don't even appreciate. John Fuller, who comes in here. Jimmy Jeans. All these people. They're all up and down the West Coast. So don't be thinking I'm sitting here going, it's about time one of those things happened to the West Coast. Not at all. I know Joe likes to wind up Nano Girl. He was bad to Nano Girl, wasn't he? You ever catch any of that? He would always say to her, so Nano, no big one yet, you know? Crazy guy. But you get what I mean, I hope. And like I say, I'm not saying there's anything too nefarious about it. I'm not saying it's all ooga booga woo or anything like that. But we do know they have these types of machines where they could do something about it if they wanted to, right? Right? And I am very, very, very in the camp that there is the technology out there to cause earth change type events, shall we say. Of course I am. It's in the white papers. They've talked about it. You can go and look at the history of weather manipulation. And it's not a conspiracy. Look at Project Popeye back during the Vietnam War. The flooding of the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Purely done through weather manipulation. And it's not just me speculating about that. The documents are declassified, folks. Proper declassified. That's one instance. So yeah, that's how they can play with the weather, but they can do with many other things as well. You know? Absolutely. So we're almost on the break already. And when we come back, we'll be shifting gears slightly. We'll be taking a little look at some of the woo that we were going to get into last night. And then in the second part of today's show, I'm going to be opening up the phones for all of you. Yes, indeed. So if you're a first-time caller, now's your chance. Get in here. If you've called up the show before, that's not a problem. And I would like to say I'll give priority to first-time callers because that sounds cool when you say that. Makes it sound like you know what's all going on. I can't remember from one day to the next people's phone numbers, so I don't know if you're a first-time caller or not. And if I don't remember speaking to you, please don't take it personally. I forget more things than I remember these days. My mind is like a sieve. I think it just gets like that when you get older, right? I think, anyway. There it is. There's the tunes. We'll be back in 3 short minutes. Don't go anywhere, folks. TFRlive.com. I will be right back. There we go, folks. There we go. And I'll be back in a couple of minutes with all of you. At the next break, I'll give some of you a little shout out in the chat room. And do me a big favour while I go away and come back in a couple of minutes. Take the time to hit share, hit like, and let's get more people over here. Let's get doing this. And if you were there today, if you were one of the 15 or 16 members of the channel that came behind the scenes on KBS, I hope you enjoyed that. And if you are a member of the channel and you couldn't make it earlier, I will make that video available on the members only playlist. And if that's not available on the channel right now, it will be by the end of today. So I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere, folks. Here we go. Okay, folks, we're just waiting to go back to the network now. I thought I'd timed it perfectly, but nah, it's this little game I play with myself. I think I've timed it just right with the music, but not this time. Amateur hour. But yeah, we're going to go back live. We've got another couple of stories, and then it's woo. Oh, we're getting into some woo, definitely. And we're opening up the phone lines as well. So yes, thanks so much for being here. If you want to support the channel, please consider becoming a member. We need 14 new members. Yes, we've lost a couple along the way. That's okay. It's December. I understand that. Let's go back live to the network just now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and anyone else that identifies as anything I may have left out there. You're more than welcome here at the Kev Baker Show, the home of inclusivity and diversity. Yes, right here on TFRlive.com, Truth Frequency Radio. Very, very woke, Kev Baker. Hey. No, I'm not very woke at all. I'm awake. And so are all of you. How do I know that? How can I make such an assumption about all of you people being awake versus woke? Well, you're here, aren't you? And that is a very good sign indeed, because this is where we encourage free thought, free thinking, and free speech. And if you want to exercise your free speech, you're more than welcome to do so. You can agree, disagree, just don't abuse the privilege. And you can head on over there to tfrlive.com/chat. And if you do abuse the privilege of our chat room, Sophia the robot will spank you severely, okay? So head on over there, folks. I've seen Jason making his way in there as well. Jason, of course, our very own. I call him our very own paranormal investigator. He's his own man, folks. He's his own man. But yeah, check out his channel, First World Problems, over at YouTube, because he is getting close to 2,000 views on a video that I consider to be very, very important indeed, because it contains within it footage of a red orb like none I've ever seen before. But not only that, as I was showing on today's stream again, the behind the scenes stream, there's really the most curious, the most interesting of pieces of footage I think I've seen in a long time. The camera, for the benefit of people, if you can picture this, it's looking at some mannequins, some kind of period mannequins. They're dressed up in this old prison garb, and Jason just turns around slowly to walk up the corridor to his next point or port of call. And unbeknown to him at the time, and this is what makes it even more interesting, he only noticed it on playback, is as he's turning, there's this translucent mist, not smoke. It's weird. It's really weird. You have to see it to believe it, and you can do that by heading on over to Jason's video, and it's Bodmin Goal Paranormal Investigation, I think. But check out the First World Problems YouTube channel. That's first as in number 1 ST, not FIRST, 1ST, okay? So, with that said, let me get back into some of tonight's news. And I had to bring up this next story because we all have had a laugh and a joke at my Kremlin ties in the past. Yes, when I used to speak more on the geopolitical scene, I used to find myself agreeing time and time again with Vladimir Putin. And of course, we've seen how in recent years, the Russians, they have gone back to the top of the global bad guys list. And what comes with that are really childish games. And because of that word games, I think it's quite apt. I think it's a good segue to this story here. They've only gone and they've banned every single Russian athlete, sports person, team in the world, okay, including the Olympic 2020 team and the World Cup football team, the 2022 World Cup team. Nah, not welcome. Not welcome at all. And it says this is because the country planted fake evidence and deleted files linked to positive doping tests that could have helped identify drug cheats. Now, when it comes to the world of sports, it is a minefield. Thankfully, as technology's getting better, obviously it's getting harder and harder for people to cheat. And there's nothing more low, in my opinion, than these really top-level athletes, sports stars, you know, trying to gain an advantage over their fellow competitors by enhancing themselves, not by swapping genders or anything like that. I'm not talking about that today. That's another day, right? That's another way of cheating. But the fact that a lot of them out there still to this day are taking advantage of doping. And I'm sure there's problems in the Russian system. I'm not saying they're squeaky clean. However, at the same time, I find it highly hypocritical that this story is coming to us from Sky News. And I say I find it hypocritical because Sky News, they've had their own cycling team in recent years. And Sky, there are major like satellite TV network provider, call them what you will. And their team, their cycling team, the Sky cycling team, has been plagued, absolutely plagued by doping scandals. Now, it's got to the point where there's one dude, Sir Bradley Wiggins, he got knighted on the back of winning the Tour de France. The guy, potentially, allegedly, in my opinion, speculating, he had more drugs in him than Lloyd's the pharmacist round the corner from me. The doctor in Sky Sports cycling team has admitted taking receipt of packages containing testosterone, right? And other banned substances, but can't remember why they were delivered there or where they went. And no, nobody cheating. But yet Sky News, here they are, and they're sitting on their sports channel today, sitting there as if they've got some moral high ground, looking down their noses at Russia for being banned, when all the while, their cycling team has been cheating everyone to the point now where there is no Sky cycling team. It's gone. They had to get rid of it because of the stigma, the fact that nobody wanted to be associated with their tarnished brand anymore. Why tarnished? Because of the allegations surrounding doping. And here they are, acting like they're taking some moral high ground against Russia. Pots and kettles, Sky News. Pots and kettles. The World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, I like that, the WADA, has imposed a 4-year ban on Russia from all global sport, including 2020 Olympics and the 2022 World Cup finals. Now, is it just me, or does this smell a little bit of just being childish, a little bit of a soy approach to giving Russia what they deem to be a kick in the goalies, eh? Oh, we'll just ban them from all sports. How childish. How utterly childish. But yeah, I thought I'd bring that one up and highlight the blatant hypocrisy of Sky News and Sky Sports in particular on their running board. Breaking news. Russia banned from all sports. And I tell you what, when their former team doctor and their former team members are being grilled in front of a UK, our equivalent of an anti-doping campaign, they don't give it much coverage at all, funnily enough. Absolute hypocrites. So they are. But hey, isn't that the way of wokeness? And mainstream media, well, let's face it, they're a big part of the woke agenda, right? They do everything they can to virtue signal all the causes that we're told to signal nowadays. To appear to be that morally just, on the high ground type of character, while at the same time doing worse in the background, away from prying eyes. Exactly like what we're talking about here. I thought it was funny. I thought it not funny for the athletes in Russia that aren't cheating. And again, like I say, I'm not naive, folks. I'm not denying it. There would have been cheating going on. But I think there's cheating going on everywhere. Lance Armstrong. Cycling should just be done with. Who watches cycling anyway? Cool. Cycling's cool. It gets you from A to B. It's fun when you're a wee guy. But does anyone watch like the Tour de France? Is there anyone sits and watches people cycling? I've never met anyone. Personally, I've never known a cycling enthusiast. But hey, it gets a lot of coverage, a lot of stuff, and I don't know, dude. I really don't know. But yeah, moving on. Where do we go next? Well, I did have a story about some of the top gadgets for 2019, since it was coming up to Christmas. But I'm scrapping that. We're not going there. What I want to do is I want to start to get towards some of the good stuff, as I call it. And in recent years, right, I can honestly say we can go back years, almost to the day, in fact, because it was December 2017 that something really weird started happening in the world. And people like me and people like all of you out there really sat up and paid attention. What is it I'm talking about? Well, if you cast your mind back to when we had Louise Elizondo, somebody who used to work at the Pentagon, being given the red carpet treatment by the world's media. And what he was being brought on to real mainstream shows to talk about was the UFO subject, or as we're now been told to call them, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Now, at the time, Louise Elizondo was allegedly revealing top secret information about a secret Pentagon program that ran for 5 years. between 2007 and 2012, I believe. I may have the years wrong, but that program was funded to the tune of $22 million, thanks to Senator Harry Reid. Now, all of this news at the time, and it concerned a Pentagon program called ATIP, Advanced Aerial Threat Identification Program. And you can tell we really covered that topic in depth because I don't have a shred of a note and I can remember all of these characters involved, okay? And we've been back to this trough, this well, time and time again, talking about what's going on. Ever since back in December 2 years ago, this major rollout, and what's even more important to add to that media rollout, is the way that for once they treated the subject of ufology, aliens, potential visitors from other worlds, not with X-Files music or rolling the eyes or talking down to whichever guest they had brought on in the past. No, this was different. And that's what made it even more interesting because a lot of us were trying to figure out, are we getting closer to something called disclosure? So after that, after the initial announcement, if you'll remember right, there was a real hiatus, a real gap. It was almost as if, people had forgotten about that December 2017 rollout of the information about ATIP. And there wasn't really too much going on. In the background, we had an organization called To the Stars Academy. Now, this is where Luis Elizondo, who, like I said, claimed to have headed up the ATIP program for the Pentagon while he was a defense contractor and still is to this day a defense contractor. He was employed or taken under the wing, the umbrella of To the Stars Academy, who is fronted by and who was set up by Tom DeLonge. Now, Tom DeLonge, and I know most of you will know this, but he's the former frontman of Blink 182. Now, he's been a long time person that has been known to have a deep interest in the UFO topic. So it was nothing new when he started his To the Stars Academy. But from the December time when all this information came out, thanks to the Stars Academy and thanks to people like Luis Elizondo, people like myself, Ryan Gable, others, I've had Brad Olson on the show, I've had Walter Bosley. We briefly talked about this as well. I spoke about this to John Greenwald from the Black Vault when I was co-hosting on Ella Free, one of her shows. That was good. Oh, that'd been a while ago now. But John Greenwald, the Black Vault, he, in my opinion, is one of the world's best researchers when it comes to declassified documents, programs, UFOs, woo, stuff like that, because he doesn't go on speculation. What he does is freedom of information requests, and he goes and he asks places like the Pentagon for comments on stories that are going on. And when I spoke to John, now it would have been, I think, way over a year ago, it was prior to the Pentagon coming out and saying, yes, we do investigate unidentified aerial phenomenon. And myself and John were very skeptical indeed as to whether or not we were getting any closer to true disclosure. If you look at the CIA, if you look at To the Stars Academy, which we have done before, what you find on their board of directors is something very, very suspicious indeed, because it reads like something out of a spy novel. There must be over 150 years of experience tallied up when you put together all the board members of To the Stars Academy. And I'm talking about 150 years of experience in the worlds of espionage, counterintelligence, psychological warfare, government experimentations, i.e. MK Ultra type stuff. Dr. Hal Puthoff, he springs to mind. It's very, very weird indeed. And then John Greenwald, the Black Vault, he was involved with, I think it was the New York Post, off the top of my mind, and they got the admission from the Pentagon that yes, they do work on these types of things, exotic materials, looking at unidentified aerial phenomenon. We had a number of videos coming out. Bigelow Aerospace. Bigelow, he's another billionaire. He's got his own aerospace company, and he's all part of this weird thing that's going on when it comes to ufology. A lot of people are excited. They truly do think that we're getting closer to that moment when we get full disclosure, whatever that looks like. Now, it's good that we're getting some information drip fed to us. And again, we have to be very, very discerning and very open-minded as to who the information's coming via, i.e. X or potentially current alphabet agency operators. And then things took an even stranger twist today, because it's John Greenwald, the investigative reporter / journalist. He's got his own YouTube channel now as well. I noticed he interviews people on there. I urge everyone to check John out. He's got a new article out, and I think we need to take a look at it, because as opposed to us getting any closer to the truth coming out, you know, the truth is out there, as Mulder or the X-Files poster used to say, things are getting even murkier. It's getting weirder, because we did have the Pentagon saying, yeah, sure, we were investigating these things, but now the Pentagon are correcting the record. So the Black Vault is John Greenwald's website, ladies and gentlemen. That's the one you can go to. There is so much information on there. There truly is. And all of it backed up by government documents that have been declassified. Some of them, admittedly, not surprisingly, heavily redacted. But John's been doing this, as he explained on Ella's show, since he was a high school student. I think he was maybe 14, 15 at the time when he started putting in his first kind of freedom of information requests. And he's continued to do it over the years. And like I say, he's got information on there about government experimentation, everything you can think of, all of the stuff that we talk about here, UFOs, you name it. If there's anything official on it, John will have it on his website. I can't recommend it highly enough. It's a free website. There's no paywall, nothing like that. So go to theblackvault.com. And like I say, one of the news stories on there, and it comes from, it did have a date on it. 6th of December. So when would that have been? Friday. So it says the Pentagon corrects the record on secret UFO program. By John Greenwald, The Black Vault, originally published December 6, 2019. The Pentagon has recently opened up to the Black Vault about the rumoured, quote, secret UFO program known as the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or ATIP. ATIP's definitely a lot easier to remember, folks. Just remember ATIP. I don't know, it helped me at the start. So then, on December the 16th, 2017, so we're 5 days away from it being, in fact, no, we're 1 week away from this being the second anniversary. 1 week from now, I need to remember that. It's going to be the second anniversary of all of this information coming out. And like I say, it was different than any other rollout of any other information we'd had before, because the mainstream media were taking it seriously. Again, something else that should have hoisted a red flag. You know, the mainstream media, as we all should know by now, has been highly infiltrated and controlled by the very same groups that have helped to hide the UFO information. So if they're all of a sudden changing their tune and acting like it's serious and they want you to believe it, that sends my spidey senses off immediately. And I've never been comfortable with any of this. And you can go back and check it. You can go back and check any of the shows we've done on this. Ben Emlyn Jones as well. We've spoke about this multiple times. I just don't trust them. But let's see what the latest is. It says on December 16, 2017, news of this obscure program was first announced by the New York Times and Politico. Now, both media outlets reported that UFOs are now being referred to as unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, to reduce the stigma surrounding the topic, were the direct focus of this program. However, the Pentagon now seems to have changed their stance. Now, it says there about reducing the stigma surrounding the topic, and I find that, again, quite contradictory and hypocritical, because not of John, but the stigma that's been attached to ufology, i.e., the way that they've always played the X-Files music, and they call anyone that looks into or has an interest in aliens or otherworldly craft, they used to paint us as crackpots. Even some of the movies done the same, and we've been programmed. That stigma that's attached to UFOs is a direct result of the programming that the same CIA and the same people who are now opening up to us are responsible for. Do you see what I'm saying there? I know I explained it badly, but the same people who are now saying that they're giving us UFO truth are the same people who created the UFO stigma that they're trying to get away from. Really? So, claiming that they want to correct the record and clear up some inaccuracies, the Pentagon now says that ATIP was not. That is not as in never, as in was never, will never be, is not, niente, nine, no, nothing. I can't make it more clear. The Pentagon are now telling people that ATIP was nothing to do with them. And it was not a UFO or a UAP program. So let me correct myself there. The Pentagon are now saying that ATIP was absolutely nothing to do with the UFOs or the UAP program. The same UAP program that the Pentagon were keen to correct the media on when they were publishing all this. And just me, or does it seem a bit weird? Does the waters seem any clearer to you, or even murkier? Do you think we're getting closer to truth when it comes to UFOs with this mob and about the release of the information? Again, as much as I would like to sit here and be very optimistic, I am very, very suspicious of anything coming related to ATIP, to the Stars Academy, and any of the characters involved. Perhaps I'll give a pass to John Greenwald. Perhaps. Not John Greenwald, sorry. To, what's his name? Tom DeLonge. Yeah, perhaps I'll give him a pass, because I think Tom DeLonge and To the Stars Academy has been hijacked and used by, again, the same people who helped hide the UFO information. So it goes on to say neither ATIP or AAWSAP were UAP related. Now, I'm not sure what this is. It's probably going to come up in a minute, okay? Said spokesperson Susan Goff in an email to the Black Vault. The purpose of ATIP was to investigate foreign advanced aerospace weapon systems application with future technology projections over the next 40 years, and to create a centre of expertise on advanced aerospace technologies. So since 2017, details have been scarce. However, the Department of Defence's latest position that ATIP wasn't, not, never, niente, nine, no, a UFO program seems to represent one of their most dramatic about faces on the issue since the program was first revealed. Oh, it absolutely does. And when we come back after the break, I'll be finishing off this article from the Black Vault, and we'll try and get to the bottom of just what is happening with the Pentagon now changing their tune, deciding to walk back what they said previously to places like the New York Times, the New York Post, John Greenwald, as opposed to, yes, it was something that was looking at UAPs. And they were the ones that said, remember, it's UAPs, not UFOs. Now they're saying, nah, nothing to see here. We'll be back for hour number 2. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back. There we go. Yes, I'm still live here with all of you absolutely amazing people on YouTube. I'm glad you tuned in today. How's the weather where you guys are? It's absolutely horrendous out there tonight. Horrible. Yes, you see, there I go again. British, talking about the weather. I told you, it's all we bloody talk about. So yeah, who have we got kicking about that I can see? We've got Blue Days in there. Blue is very, very quick getting into the chat room today. Great effort. We got Lisa. We got Half Q. Yes, Half Q. Blue Chickens. Yes. UFOs are interdimensional demons. I'm very open to that. But a UFO, you see, and Jason, please don't think I'm picking on you, but it's a good example. That's almost like a UFO. UFOs are interdimensional demons. You see, once you've decided what a UFO is, it's no longer a UFO. So I think sometimes what we think are UFOs, aliens, spaceships, I'm very open to what Jason's saying there. I do think there's interdimensional creepers and crafts and things that when we see them in the sky, they're unidentified. You know, you don't have to be an alien spaceship to be a UFO. It's exactly what it says in the acronym. Unidentified. It could be a balloon. But because of the angle you're looking at and the way you've seen it, it doesn't look like a balloon right away, right? So you can't identify it. Well, I don't know what that is. So it's a UFO, but then it maybe goes high enough where the sun stops shining on and you go, damn, Kev, it was just a balloon. And then it's identified again, you see. It doesn't have to be off-world. It can be craft from here. It could be a drone. You know, it could be some new drone you've never seen out of... I'm trying to think of what drone... I don't know where you buy drones. Amazon, okay? It's the only place I can think of. Where do you buy a drone in a shop? A drone shop, I suppose. But yeah, a drone as well. You know, there's all shapes and sizes of drones, so yeah. But I tell you what, I think we'll probably get closer to what they are in our chat room than we ever will from To the Stars Academy. I tell you that. But yeah, Jason, I'm definitely with you, brother. As is Bill Bean. He looks at a lot of these UFO sightings as if we were able to identify what it was we were seeing, it certainly would be related to demonic type entities. But then what do people who are not of a Christian mindset describe that as? Well, they would just call them alien, right? Because they're not from here. They're alien to our world, to our time, to our dimension. So yeah, and I think there are other things out there. Can I prove it? Of course I can't. Of course I can't. I would love to think it's more like Star Trek or Star Wars than maybe a lot of you would like to imagine, but I'd like to think that. Whether it's right or not, though, I don't know. But yeah, I reckon we've got more chance, and I mean this, Jason, you've got more chance of catching real, proper, hardcore demonic activity on one of your ghost hunts in the very near future than anyone at the A-Tip or anyone at To the Stars Academy giving us the truth on UFOs. Honestly, I hate to be pessimistic about them. I really do. But it's yet to be seen just how truthful they are. And bear in mind, it's all CIA. But we'll be back. We're just getting ready to go back to the network. I'll be back with you in a moment. Don't go anywhere, folks. Don't go anywhere. And yes, when we get done with this story, I'll start to open up the phones and get closer to the woo. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 2 on today's Kev Baker Show, right here at tfrlive.com. Yes. So one of our good friends of the channel here, Jason, I was telling you about his Paranormal channel earlier on, First World Problems. Go and check it out. He was saying during the break there, he was saying, perhaps some of these UFOs are demonic type entities, demonic type craft, something coming from the demonic realm anyway. And absolutely, I'm very open to that. I'm very open to it being time travelers, be UFOs, as in space vehicles from other planets. But also within that umbrella of the UFO come very, very, very earthly based technologies. Aircraft that maybe because of the way we're looking at it, the angle, the time of day, the light hitting it, maybe we can't immediately identify it as being the aircraft that it is. Maybe it's just like a shining orb. But that's because of the way the sun's hitting it. And I get it. When it's that shining orb, oh, you think you've got a UFO and it is a UFO because you can't identify it. You've got no idea what it is. But the minute that it comes out of that angle or that part of the sky where the sun was causing that effect, and oh, it's one of those planes. You see, that goes from UFO to identified then. The same as when you say a UFO is a spaceship. Right, it's Clyde Lewis that really taught me this, and I have to give him credit for that, because I used to do this all the time. Oh, it's a UFO, UFO, UFO. But UFOs don't need to mean little grey men or Nordics. It can be a whole plethora of potential explanations. Some of them, unfortunately, they're going to be quite logical, and they're not going to be anything too exciting. Maybe a new aircraft here or there that we've built, but it's the ones that just leave that question mark. The ones that just can't be explained away as tricks of the light or any kind of glitch on a camera. Multiple witness sightings, some of the bigger ones that we've heard about and seen about and covered in the past. Point being, folks, this is one of the most interesting topics ever for me personally. Something I've always been interested in, and I probably spend far too much time, probably. And if you've been hearing a scraping noise, I do apologise. It's my cord rubbing on the button. I'll try and get that out of the way there. But yeah, as a little guy, spaceships, aliens, all this type of thing, absolutely. And I never lost that buzz. Never lost it. Always wanted to know, are we alone? Even when I was in the army, you'd be out there at night, sleeping out in the open or up all night, and you'd be looking at the stars. And, I can't ever claim to have seen anything otherworldly. I don't think I've seen anything mysterious from Earth either, unfortunately. Maybe one incident when I was younger, which is a bit weird because I should be able to remember it, but I can't. And I don't put that down to some lost time or abduction. I'm not going to turn all that way on you. That's never happened to me. I'm not an experiencer in any way, but I've just got an interest in all of this. And that's why I get angry. I get really worked up and almost peed off because stories like we're covering here come along. And it's easy to get kind of caught up in the hype and almost, that romanticize the idea of the government, the alphabet agencies giving us truth. Imagine it, any other topic, any other time, we would rightly say they're all liars, crooks, criminals, and they only tell us things for their own purpose. It's all an agenda. Everything's an agenda. But the minute that they start telling us something that we might want to hear, i.e. ufologists like me, people with an interest in this, we let our guard down because it's what we want to hear. And that's the most dangerous mindset and place to be in. That bit where you kind of suspend disbelief. By that, I mean, for once you think the government aren't going to lie to you. The same people who have occulted and hidden away the same information for decades, maybe longer. Yeah, they're going to tell us. Oh, brilliant. Luis Elizondo, he's going to tell us. Oh, Christopher Mellon, don't worry about the fact that he's still working for the government in Capitol Hill and he's been in the Bush administration and the Clinton administration. And Hal Puthoff, don't worry about him. It's okay, we've talked about him in relation to like psychotronics and mind warfare and stuff like that, but it's okay, these people are going to tell us. Tom DeLonge wouldn't lie to us. I don't think Tom DeLonge would lie to us because he too was in that mindset. He was in that dangerous place. He got seduced by these characters. They came along telling him, Tom, you're going to be the guy. all this UFO truth that you crave, that you've always wondered about. We've got it. We've got it, and we're going to do it through you, Tom. You are the man. Wow. Like a big wide-eyed alien in their headlights. And I do feel for Tom DeLonge, because I wonder if he now knows deep down that he's been used by the same people he used to get pissed at for keeping the information from us. Well, it's a weird and wonderful web that they weave, isn't it? It really is. But that's why we're here, to try and make sense of it. So let's get back to the story. And then after that, we can get to the phones. You can call me up about the UFO topic if you want. You can call me up about absolutely anything. I don't mind. We'll just hash it out. We'll see what people are saying, and we can do it. We'll get into it. So then, let me get back to the Black Vault. Where are we? Here we are. So I was just about to go in to the next paragraph, and this is dealing with, for anyone that's just tuned into the show, the Pentagon, who had confirmed previously that they were looking into UFOs, or what they now call unidentified aerial phenomenon. They had confirmed that they were looking for them. But now, as published by John Greenwald on the blackvault.com website on December the 6th, their spokesperson has been in email contact with John, and they're denying it. They're denying that it had anything to do with UFOs or UAPs or anything such. No, indeed. So it says here, and I'll just go over the last paragraph we had. Since 2017, details have been scarce. However, the Department of Defence's latest position is that ATIP wasn't a UFO program. Seems to represent one of the most dramatic about faces on the issue since the program was first revealed. Or you better believe it does. Big time. So the AAWSAP that Goff refers to is the Advanced Aerospace Weapon System Application Program, a contract posted publicly by the Defense Intelligence Agency asking for bids by the private sector on August 18th, back in 2008. Now, by the due date of September the 5th, only one bidder had submitted a proposal, and that was Bigelow Aerospace's subsidiary, known as Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies, or BAASS, or you could call it Badass. I'm only joking, folks. I thought it was funny at the time, okay? But it goes on to say here, that they were awarded the contract, and according to the New York Times, operated with a $22 million budget. Note, the Black Vault has not been able to independently verify that budget amount. So many researchers, bloggers, and journalists, myself alike, within the mainstream media have often confused, not myself alike, I'm not mainstream, confused ATIP and AAWSAP, OSAP, that's what I'm going to call it, OSAP. Coffee. I find I tend to read a little better if I keep myself lubricated with the coffee, right? So it goes on to say that for example, an anonymous letter by someone claiming to be involved in the project was published by KLAS TV, and it alleged that AAWSAP, as I'm going to call OSAP, was studying poltergeists along with other paranormal activity. Another example is a blogger attempting to create a cohesive timeline of the programs, but often confuses dates, facts, and figures that have already been established and documented. And according to the latest from the Pentagon, none of this is the case. Quote from the Pentagon again, ATIP was the name of the overall program. OSAP was the name of the contract that the Defense Intelligence Agency awarded for the production of technical reports under ATIP. So the title for those, quote, technical reports referenced by the Pentagon were released by a Freedom of Information Act request to the Black Vault on January the 16th, 2019. which consisted of a list of 38 documents under the ATIP program. Mysteriously absent from the documents covered by the Defence Intelligence Reference documents was anything directly referencing UFOs or UAPs. So John got 38 documents relating to ATIP. And within the documents from ATIP, there was absolutely nothing about UFOs, UAPs, or any of the things that we've been led to believe, not just to the stars, but by the media as well. So it goes on to say topics did include some wildly speculative science ranging from warp drives to invisibility cloaking. However, there was nothing about unidentified objects flying in the sky or captured on video. Some researchers have theorized the list of research topics was simply an exploration on how UFOs may work or how an alien civilization might traverse the cosmos in order to visit Earth. Conversely, some have remained skeptical and felt this list may be proof that ATIP and OSAP had nothing to do with UFOs and only focused on pseudo-science. Now, the skeptics appear to be proven wrong when on May the 22nd, 2019, the New York Post ran the headline, "The Pentagon finally admits that it investigates UFOs." And then it goes on to say, at the time the article was published, investigative journalist Stephen Greenstreet with the New York Post had received word from the Pentagon through spokesperson Christopher Sherwood that ATIP, quote, did pursue research and investigation into an unidentified aerial phenomena. Understandably, the story then went viral. And I remember we looked at the interview between John Greenwald and it was the Stephen Greenstreet who was at the New York Post. We actually watched that here on the channel. We watched it here back in, as we're being told, May this year. And that said, and no wonder it went viral, because it was talking about the fact that the Pentagon had confirmed that they were indeed talking or investigating UAPs. So what's going on now? However, roughly 7 months later, the Pentagon stance seems to have changed, and it should say again. Although the statement that was given to the New York Post was accurately reported, the Pentagon now states it was not entirely fact-based. So they're saying, the Pentagon are saying that the New York Post and journalist Stephen Greenstreet are innocent of any embellishing the facts or of misreporting, of disinfo. No, they reported what they were given. But they're saying that what he was given wasn't entirely fact-based. So they lied. Oh, imagine the Pentagon or people from the world of espionage and alphabet agencies. Imagine any of them lying to the media. Oh, I'm shocked. You see why I'm not so confident that we're getting any closer to this great disclosure moment, folks? You see why I'm not too confident? Aside from all the spook shenanigans that goes on at To the Stars Academy, it's crazy. It's so infuriating. It really is, because, you know, I would imagine the reason they don't tell us, they don't treat us like a fair, equal kind of human beings. You know, we're equal to these people that are in government, you know. They are no more important than any of us. But they seem to think that they're the adults and we're the kids. And, you know, they're looking after our best interests by not telling us this, because we couldn't handle it. We would all lose our crap if we found out that we weren't alone in the universe. Excuse me? It's not like 1919 anymore. We're in 2019. Come on. Seriously. So, however, we've done that bit. When asked about the discrepancy, at the time, Mr. Sherwood was repeating the information that had been provided by a previous spokesperson some 2 years earlier, said Goff. That previous spokesperson is no longer with my organisation, and I cannot comment on why that person's explanation of ATIP included that it had looked at anomalous events. According to all the information, the official information I have now, when implemented, ATIP did not pursue research and investigation into unidentified aerial phenomenon. That was not part of the technical studies nor the reports produced by the programme. So the Black Vault, they reached out to Greenstreet, that's the journalist at the New York Post, but they did not respond for comment. And the Pentagon's new stance conflicts with former Department of Defense employee Luis Elizondo. And according to Elizondo, he was the director of ATIP. And since coming forward in October of 2017, he's consistently maintained that ATIP did research UFOs / UAPs. And this is Elizondo speaking. And I wouldn't trust Elizondo as far as I could throw him. And I get it. I'm not the biggest guy in the world. But I tell you what, it would take a really big guy to chuck Elizondo anywhere. That's all I'm saying. But the dude is still a government contractor. And nobody knows what contract he's doing for the government. Let me just throw that bit in there as well, okay? He still works for the government in some kind of manner, capacity. He's a lifelong career spook. And we're to believe this dude when he tells us, quote, ATIP itself spent its entire time on UFOs, said Elizondo in March of 2019 at the first annual Anomalous Aerospace Phenomena Conference put on by the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies. Again, quoting Elizondo himself, ATIP was a 100% UFO program, period. It was not looking at airplanes. I suggest one doth protest too much, Mr. Elizondo, and I don't believe a word of the crap that you're selling. I really don't. And you can go back, folks. I haven't changed my tune here. I think I've been quite consistent throughout all of this. You know, we've had Ryan on. We've spoke about the more outlandish part of the ufology kind of topic, the blue chickens and things like that, and some of the shenanigans that goes on within the world of ufology and the researchers and things. And it pains me. I don't like having to report that some of the organizations out there that I know people that listen to the show are really optimistic about may or may not be absolutely, you know, connected to the same people that we would say are the problem. I don't like doing that. I would like to come here and tell you Elizondo's a good guy. He's had a change of heart. He's wanting to get the truth out, not just to the American people, but to the world. But that ain't happening. And the fact that Tom DeLonge's company, To the Stars Academy, they're all over like mainstream programs now, programming people with their version of disclosure. And it's coming from the same people who have hidden all of the kind of information in the past. If you're not worried or you're not skeptical about what's going on, and they don't need to be lying. Here's the other thing as well, right? See, when they show us videos and some of the stuff that they'll throw in amongst all of their programming and propaganda, some of it's going to be factually correct. But there's an agenda. There's definitely an agenda here. They're doing this right now for some reason. I don't know if they're trying to justify more money to go to Bigelow or whoever the heck it is. I don't know. Is it just some front for the alphabet agencies? I don't know, folks. But I tell you one thing, I think I'm quite 99.9% sure on. This ain't going to take us to that disclosure moment. And what's even worse, before I finish up this article, I don't think we're ever going to get a disclosure moment. Do you know why? Because I think the information that we seek, as much as it might be hard to find because of all the misinformation and disinformation out there, I think the disclosure that we seek has always been taking place. It's just that because of our inbuilt, ingrained, encoded desire, need to have authority or authoritative figures telling us something before it becomes factual. You know, I don't think we're ever going to get that. Why we need that to confirm what we already know from the information out there is beyond me. Again, I would love it if Boris Bonkers Johnson or Jeremy Useless Corbyn came up and said, yeah, start giving us the truth. You're never going to get it from Nick Pope. Nick Pope, another one who worked for the Department of Defence. Just saying. You mean the same Department of Defence that covers all this up in the UK, Nick? You were the guy helping to make sure people thought it was swamp gas and things. Yeah. So I don't think we're going to get that big moment over here. I don't think we're going to get it from Trumpster or anyone that comes in after him. I think if they ever tell us anything, there's going to be an agenda behind it. I really do. And if they start telling us about some alien threat out there, I think we're closer to Project Bluebeam than we have ever been in the past. And we could do a whole show on Project Bluebeam, but it was a Canadian researcher who came up with that theory. Well, not a lot of people throw that out there. A lot of people seem to think that Project Bluebeam was some official NASA document. But it was actually a Canadian researcher, his name escapes me, who put it out there. It talked about, you know, the potential for a fake alien invasion. Just saying. Let's get back to the article, right? How did I get so deep into that? Dang. So then, currently Elizondo serves as the Director of Government Programs and Services for To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science. Now, that's the full name. Let me repeat that again. Now, think to yourself, somewhere that's determined to get the UFO subject out there to the masses, UFO truth. What on earth's name have they got a role within their company titled the Director of Government Programs and Services? Why do they have that? What is that all about? They've also got a consultant on national security as well. Point being, folks, I really do think, you know, Tom DeLonge, his organisation, it's been taken over and it's a public front on a alphabet agency controlled release of sometimes truth, but I fear mostly crap. And when you get Luis Elizondo, who we're going to get deeper into here, you'll start to see what I mean, okay? So it says then, Director of Government Programs and Services. Dear me, what a mouthful. A quote, public benefit corporation led by rock star Tom DeLonge. A public benefit corporation ran by rock star Tom DeLonge and stars in a History Channel series called Unidentified Inside America's UFO Investigation. So Elizondo is now the face. He's the poster boy for disclosure. In the past, Elizondo has addressed the hierarchy of the ATIP and the OSAP programs. Quote, it would be disingenuous for me to simply say that ATIP is really OSAP. Well, it evolved from OSAP, but it is not OSAP, Elizondo said during an annual Mutual UFO Network conference in July of 2018. Now, MUFON, I see a lot of their investigators. I think I've had a couple of MUFON cats on the show. I don't know what to make of MUFON, folks. I've never really looked into them. I honestly haven't looked at any great depth as to, you know, whether they're a legit organisation. I think they sound it. It's a place where people can phone up and give their information, their sightings, their witness reports, and they do a good job collating the evidence. Are they dodgy? I don't think so, so I'm not going to speak badly about them when I've got no reason to include them as anything to do with Elizondo or ATIP or anything like that. So please don't think I'm throwing them under the bus here either. I'm being blatantly honest with you. I've never looked into them. So it says, quote, and I think the documentation that is beginning to come out into the public forum, people are beginning to realise that Elizondo, or people are beginning to realise that. Elizondo told the crowd of UFO enthusiasts. Now, Elizondo did not return a request for comment from the Black Vault. Elizondo has never agreed to go on a show like Clyde Lewis, like mine, like anyone's. We'll be right back. Oh, yes, indeed. Where is that Skype? There it is. Dang, one of these times I'm going to get done for copyright because I can't find the Skype button quick enough. But yeah, that's a very interesting point at the end of that article, folks, about the fact that he did not return a request from the Black Vault for a comment. And this is something that you'll find with Elizondo. It's almost as if he's quite happy to go on the mainstream and the history show channels, or the History Channel shows that To the Stars Academy are producing, but he dare not go anywhere where he's going to get asked questions that might go off script. What I mean by that, Clyde Lewis, he's the #1 podcast radio show when it comes to this genre. He's even above Coast to Coast in that now in some charts, and I quite believe it. I've never heard Elizondo on there. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe I've missed him. Maybe he did go on there. But I remember trying to get To the Stars Academy, anyone to come on. Didn't even say no. Didn't even respond. But yet you'll see them going on mainstream things. And what I'm hinting at is they're happy to talk when they know that the script is going to be very friendly and the interviewer is going to give them exactly the questions that they want to be given. It's very, 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 very well published, or well polished and well produced. Anything that comes from Elizondo makes you wonder, right? Especially when you've got the Pentagon. 1 6 month period, they say they were. Another 6 months later, they weren't. I don't know what's going on. But the one thing I would take away from all of this, and we're going to open up the phones when we come back after the break, I wouldn't believe a damn thing that comes from any of these people now. Or at least look at the information they present and then do your damnedest to go out there and fact check it and make sure they're not selling you some dodgy bill of goods. I don't know what the end goal is. I don't see... Usually, I play it the David Icke way. Know the outcome, see the journey. Unless they are building up to some, like, sky event, I don't know. I probably think with the creation of the Space Force as well, and remember I've been talking about the increase in the asteroids and things, I think we're going to start seeing the weaponization of space being a big thing, big money maker for the industrial complex. And how can they justify blatantly, literally sending money up into orbit? They'll tell us that there's a threat out there. Problem, reaction, solution. Not only will we be happy that they're sending our money into literal outer space, we'll beg for it. That's how problem, reaction, solution works, folks. I'm going to be right back. Oh, yeah. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment of today's Kev Baker Show with me, yours truly. Yes, Clyde Lewis. No, I'm joking. Kev Baker, obviously. Come on. Get with the script, folks. Now, don't forget, coming up right after today's show, we have got Lockie and Dr. Brooks Agnew on the way right here on tfrlive.com. So stay tuned for all of that. And I hope you've enjoyed what's been so far of the show. We've still got one segment to go. I've got one paragraph of the whole To the Stars Academy, UFO disclosure, UAPs, Elizondo debacle. That's what it is. It's a bloody debacle at this point. Who knows what's going on? Are we any closer to disclosure? I don't think so. But I was thinking during the break there, what is it David Icke has taught me and so many others along the way, and I tell you, it's priceless kind of stuff from Icke when he says, when you know the outcome, you'll see the journey. Now, the outcome, it could well be that we're at a period of time now in the story of mankind, civilization, where we've had enough of throwing weapons at one another, blowing each other up, doing the best we can to ruin the planet that we live on. And I'm not going all full climate change agenda on you, but you get me. And we're entering a new period now. And I've said for some time that, if they want to have that come together moment, if they want to unite us and they want to have that one world government thing, then, the way things are right now, I don't think too many people would accept it. It hasn't got crazy enough yet. So it's going to get crazier. And at the same time, they're going to have to tell us that there's a boogeyman. And I don't think Russia's going to do it too much longer. When it gets to the point that they're having to ban them from sports competitions, literally, NATO countries picked up the ball, took the ball home. They're not playing with Russia anymore. We're not playing with you anymore, Russia. So that's dying out. If that's the stage they're getting to in their propaganda games against Russia, dear me, it's lunacy. So what's the next stage? Well, and it could well be that they're going to try and tell us that we urgently need to weaponize space, because although we've all come together and we'll have our differences still, don't get me wrong. There'll still be things going on down here. But we'll have those military-industrial complex companies still wanting to make their money. The system will still have to work the same way, folks. So how do you do that? Well, it could well be that they're on the verge of telling us that there's something big and bad coming from space. It could be a rock. It could be a species. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But if that's the case, then all of this that we're seeing, all of the Elizondos and the characters from the alphabet agencies telling us the UFO truth, all of it could really be, at the beginnings, the opening chapter of a cover story that's going to lead to us all being, oh, please help us, governments. Weaponize space. Oh, there we go. We've got Space Force now. We've got all these billions of dollars we can send into space. And like somebody at BAM in TFR chat room said, one inverted world, poisoning the planet for profit. And that's what these characters are doing, folks. And they're going to milk every last penny and dime out of this place before this system changes for something else. That's honestly what I speculate. Do I know that's what's happening? No, I don't know that. And I like to try and be optimistic. I'm the only guy I know that tries to put an optimistic slant on Elon Musk's Neuralink, right? So if there was anything good to come from this To the Stars and the UFO talk that's going on right now, I would be running on here. I'd be demanding that Chris Geo lets me on air the minute I had that news, and I'd be saying it's coming, folks. These people are so good. They're all truthful, and they just want me and you to be up to the same speed as everyone else, and that ain't happening. How unrealistic did that sound? It sounded ludicrous. If that was a plot for a movie, you'd throw it out. The world doesn't work like that, you would say. Nobody's going to buy that. I ain't buying it either. So, last paragraph of this, and then we'll open up the phones for the last 20 minutes. Yes, I didn't forget. See, I didn't forget. And the underground reptilian weird woo that I had for last night, and now I had for tonight, probably going to be tomorrow now, folks, okay? So then, it said, and we finished up by saying that Elizondo, surprise, surprise, he wouldn't come on to the Black Vault, and he wouldn't comment about any of this. So John Greenwald, who wrote this article and who is the man behind the Black Vault, said in closing, although the Pentagon's change to a previous statement may concern and frustrate a segment of the general public excited about recent UFO developments, Hope is not entirely lost. Woohoo! See, we can get happy again now, right? But wait. The Pentagon maintains, as of the writing of this article, that the US Navy continues to investigate UAPs, and the 3 videos that have surfaced in the past 2 years that have garnered worldwide attention are still considered UAPs. So the Pentagon hasn't tried to change or close the door on the whole UFO topic. Something that should still encourage enthusiasts of the overall or of the UFO subject. I think it's a problem. There's obviously some kind of split. There's obviously elements within the Pentagon, within the CIA, who might want to bring some of this information forward, or maybe there's an element within there that have got some nefarious plan at work. I don't know. I really don't know. And it irks me because this should be exciting times, you know? We should be able to sit here. We should be able to trust our media. We should be able to trust the people that we're saying. We shouldn't have to be worried that they're blowing smoke up our tuchus. We should just be able to sit here and take it all and just be quite happy that we're finally getting the truth, right? But it's not how it rolls. It's just not how it rolls. I wish it did. I really do wish it did. But unfortunately, no. So what I'm going to do right now is, if you just bear with me 2 moments, I'm going to add in the phones. Yes, indeed. Give me 2 seconds, folks. Let me find the dial pad. There it is. So if I add that in there and I come over here, I can give you all the phone numbers. Yes, indeed. So wait till I find where the phone numbers are. Yes, there we go. And we've already got somebody on the line. But before I get there, I'm just going to paste the numbers into the chat room. Andrea. Oh, Andrea, New Zealand, you're in there. Andrea, I hope everything is okay with you. I know you're in New Zealand and things, but I hope you didn't know anyone that was affected by what happened down there. You were one of the first people I was actually thinking about last night when this happened. And I know we've got more people down in New Zealand, but because your name, the New Zealand's in your name, Andrea. And Andrea often hangs out over at TFR. Yeah, so listen, I'm almost about to forget again. Here we go. I'm going to drop the numbers into YouTube. What we want you to do, or what I want you to do if you want to phone into the show, I don't know why I said we. I mean, we've got multiple personality. Now, we've got 2 callers on the line. So we're definitely, in fact, it's probably pointless giving out these numbers. But if you want to call in, it is, if you're in the US, it is 213-233-3998. That's 213-233-3998. Now, if you're over here in the UK, oh, bless you. I'm here. It's great here. It's great. Now we've got 3 people on the line. It's 0044-203-393-2871. That's 0044-203-393-2871. Wow. So let's go to area code 469. And that's in Texas. Welcome to the show.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing? Who's that I'm talking to?
This is That's Worrisome.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm hanging in here.
Good stuff.
I wanted, as to disclosure, I was thinking about a line that was from the movie The Prisoner.
Okay.
Where they say, "Take me to your leader," and he said, "What do you want?" Information. And he says, "What kind of information?" And the alien says, "Will that be telling?"
Do you think they've been here? Do you think our governments are in contact with them? Do you think there are aliens out there? What do you think?
Well, I do have some, suppositions from some stuff my father had told me, but he told me a story about the Red Baron.
Ah,
and
yes.
So I think it was kind of his way of saying, because he did a documentary called Out of the Sun
Okay.
that won the film festival. It was military only, and but none of that can be found online. So even you can't
Yeah.
even find my father online.
That's
So
that's pretty
but
interesting. So, what did your dad tell you? Did he tell you anything that kind of?
yeah, he told me a story about the Red Baron. His tactic was to come out of the sun as a dogfighting tactic, right? And this is factual too,
Yeah.
both. But I got the impression he was trying to tell me something about this documentary that he'd done, and anyway, long story. So he went on to tell me about how there was a young pilot that had caught on to the fact that was how all of these people were, he was getting all of these planes, shot down because he was coming from out of the sun. And so this pilot challenges the Red Baron one morning by coming out of the sun also, waiting for him, and they go through this long dogfight, and the pilot, excuse me, runs out of ammunition, and they had a gun in their planes with them, and so he tried to shoot at him and everything, and still couldn't. They got that close, as he was saying.
Wow.
And he could actually try to shoot at him. And then he said when then he got above him and tried to drop a fire extinguisher on him, on the Red Baron.
Wow.
And so what he said was the important part of the story was the fire extinguisher incident, and then that the Red Baron saluted the pilot and went on. And I got the impression from the story he was telling me that he felt or believed from his job information and his stuff he had done that Wormwood would come and kind of salute us, that close, that he could salute him, and that our military might try to throw a fire extinguisher at this thing, trying to stop it.
Anything
So
trying to stop him.
that's my story. I'm
No.
sticking with it.
No, I'm so.
I hear something different,
I'm so glad you phoned up. I love it when our listeners phone up. I really do. And I'm going to have to move on because our phone lines have really, really filled up today. Thank you so much for calling in. Now then, if we go and I get the call board back up, I've never seen it this busy. I'm going to our good friend, and it's Kevin in Minnesota. How are you doing, my good friend, Kevin?
Mr. Baker, it's good to hear another Kevin. And if I may, real quickly for the last caller, we want information. But it's funny because I was on that clip today, and it was right in front of me, and she brought up that clip. But irony that I wanted to bring in. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that is a synchronicity, Kev. On you go. What have you got for today, man?
Well, in my research of trying to find the truth, my favorite and he called himself a ufologist in his last days, was William Cooper. And
yes.
one of the things that William Cooper said, that it wasn't so much a challenge of the Brookings Institute to come out and let us know about extraterrestrials, but they felt they would lose the continuity of government, because if they have to come out with the disclosure of extraterrestrials, they would have to admit that there's more than just one. There are estimated in his last days, he believed there was over 20 different extraterrestrial entities that have been working with our government. And I can't imagine that in the universe, they don't have like a galactic council like we have the United Nations. And with that being said, if intelligent life came here to the planet and saw that allegedly the most superior entity or creature that's on this planet is causing such devastation to their own homeworld, would they allow us to leave the boundaries of our planet?
No, I'm totally on board with everything you're saying here. Absolutely. I think it's almost periodic. Here's the way I look at it, Kev. There's going to be a universe teeming with life. It's not just going to be in small pockets, it's going to be teeming with life. It's going to be scary because a lot of it is going to look like us, a lot of it's going to walk like us, and a lot of it, although with language difficulties, they're still going to communicate and talk like us. Now, add to that all your insectoids, all your silicon based life forms, all the other types of life forms that may be out there that we haven't even contemplated yet. And I think Kev is spot on. I think there's even going to be civilizations out there that have given up their physical form and gone fully digital. Exactly what we're looking at doing here with our technology. Now, I think, Kev, like you said there, I totally like the way you explained it as well. But I think maybe every 100 years, maybe every 1,000 years, who knows? But periodically, whether there's something in the moon that sends a message to some far flung corner, some civilization that's looking for up and coming civilizations that are developing to a point where maybe they can be welcomed in to the, as opposed to we've got the United Nations, let's have the kind of the collection of intelligent beings. I don't know what they're going to call it, but I think you're spot on, Kev. And every time they come
Well,
down here, every time they come down here, we're still raping our own planet. We're still killing our own kind. We're still throwing sticks and stones literally at one another. And yet at the same time, we've managed somehow to get to the point where we can split the atom and cause major destruction that will have an effect on some of the planets and some of the people that are out there, because we're literally holding toys, because we're like children if you think about it in our development here. We're holding toys that could rip holes in the fabric of space and time. Would you let your children in charge of toys like that? And it's a rhetorical question, Kev, but we're on the same page, brother. The same page.
Well, one thing that I've been fortunate to experience this last summer, I went to a Native American Sundance of the Dakota people in South Dakota. And as I was participating in the Sundance, one thing that made me think of, at the beginning of the Sundance, they do this special entrance when they come into the arena, which is like a circle, and they go in a circle and they go around the Sundance tree. Well, if all of us are electromagnetic energy, and if you think of the movie The Predator, how the Predator would change his vision into like the heat signature or a different visual light. So imagine if on the winter solstice or the summer solstice, all these Native Americans got together to do these ceremonies, an extraterrestrial entity would be like, hey, what do you want to do this weekend? Well, it's the summer solstice on that planet Earth. And when you get there and you watch these entities from above through our eyes, all they are is this beautiful light spectrum of all of these natives dancing in this circle, which if you think about it under like thermal vision, would be this beautiful kaleidoscope of colors. And so I can imagine these extraterrestrials coming by, we got to go to Earth in the summer so we can check that out. Maybe it's their yearly vacation.
Well, hopefully one of these years they'll open up the gates and they'll let us play with the big boys. But Kev, I'm going to let you go now. I've got one more caller on the line. I'm going live to area code 303, and I think we're talking to somebody called Andy. How you doing, Andrew?
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Hey, how you doing? What's happening? We've got about 5 minutes left, so what do you want to get into, man?
So, by the way, I'm Spooky Andy. I'm the one that always sends you stupid shit on Facebook.
Oh, hey, dude. Hey, you keep sending it, man. I love it.
Anyway.
On you go, dude. On you go.
So, I don't know if I've ever actually messaged you about any of this stuff, but I work in robotics, and I'm a programmer and an engineer. So I'm kind of on the front lines of some of the stuff that you guys have gotten into a bunch, and I think a lot of people, I don't know how a lot of people view the whole robotics and AI thing, but like I have a different point of view on it, and I would like to be able to voice it with some of you guys and see what your opinions are. I mean, like, I think I already know what a lot of people's opinions are on it, but I have a different standpoint on it, and that's just that it's taking remedial jobs away from people so they can advance in their career and make more money doing something that's more needed than repeated work.
You see,
I don't know.
No, Andrew,
I figured I'd call in
Andrew,
and let you guys know.
Andrew, listen,
Yeah.
I would love for you to get in touch with me on Facebook, and I'll bring you on for an hour one day, because I'm really keen to get these other sides of the story. Okay, I love AI, and I think there's a lot of advantages to be had. In fact, I've lost a lot of listeners because I do take a look at the advantages of it. So I would love for you to come on, brother. I really, really would. That this show here, although at times it may seem like it's Christian based, I bring on people from all walks of life, all different ideas, and I like to hear other sides of the story. And Andrew, I would absolutely love for you to get in touch with me, brother. Hit me up on Facebook, reference the phone call, something like that, so I can recognize it. But I would love to get you on. So what's it like? I mean, what's it like working on robotics, man? It must be exciting as heck.
You know, I love it. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, like, I've literally gone out of my way to name people's network cyberdyne systems and stuff like that just to screw with people. But that's just me, you know. Like,
you see, that's cool, Andrew. That's cool.
I
Because,
like screwing with people, you know.
yeah, exactly. And I've
But I
said
meant,
this
like,
a lot because I think a lot of the tech guys like you, and I often talk about the picture at CERN where the scientist is sitting there with the Mandela picture. And part of me thinks he was trolling people like me. So I get it, dude. I get it. You know, people in the tech
I
industry.
honestly think he was.
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly think he was. He knew damn well what he was doing, and that's the kind of crap that a lot of people in his shoes do. I mean, like, I know because I'm one of them, man. Like,
and I mean, speaking
it's
to
just in pure fun, and I
speak to people like Brian Keating, and I speak to Brendan Drackler, and they're like astrophysicists. So it's not robotics, but it's science. And that's one thing I take from them. They've got an absolutely wicked sense of humor. They know exactly what shows like this speculate on and talk about. And I know that a lot of them out there, some of the stuff that I've probably covered, hands up, it's probably been put out there to have a laugh at people like me. So, Andrew, please get in touch. Let's line this up. I'll get you on. I'm going to be getting on Mammoth Hunter as well very soon. So, yeah, please, dude, hit me up and we'll line it up, okay?
yeah, for sure.
No problems. Now, we're at the end of the show. I want to thank everyone for phoning in today. Somebody posting that silly 17th letter of the alphabet. Folks, if you're still following the 17th letter of the alphabet, especially after today, you really have to have a good, long and hard think about what's going on there. Gitmo isn't filling up. All the things that these people have been telling you and promising you, it's absolute bullcrap. In fact, you know, it's probably even more ridiculous than thinking that the CIA and To the Stars Academy is going to tell us the truth on UFOs. If you're still believing these people in their basements pushing that 17th letter of the alphabet. And we finished today's show the way we started it. It's crazy, right? We started off by having a laugh about that. The IG report coming out. The yet more failed predictions come and go. I'm going to finish up today's show. I'm going to go and play my mum at Scrabble, as I always do. And then I'm going to have a nice long feet up and see how, not the people who follow it. I've nothing against the people who follow it. In fact, that's what angers me, the fact that people have been hooked into it by people who have known what they're doing, by people who are preying on your hopes and fears and telling you, like To the Stars Academy, exactly what you want to hear. And all the while you sit there and you say, it's okay, we're going to get our UFO truth, or in this case, it's okay, the bad guys and people, they're all getting rounded up. I don't need to do anything. That 17th letter of the alphabet's got us all covered. Yawn, and before you know it, guess where we are? We're still in the same place we were before that 17th letter of the alphabet ever decided it wanted to get famous. So, from me to all of you out there, I bid you farewell for another day. I'll be back tomorrow with more of the same, and we will open up the phones. What callers we had tonight? Brilliant. We had, that is worrisome, we had Kevin, we had Andrew, all three of them steal the show. Until next time, wherever you are, make it TFR, didn't touch that dial. And don't be telling me where we go one, we go all. That's what sheep do. We're out of here. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Adios. Where is that gone? Where has that gone? I have lost my Skype again. There it is. There we go. There we go. I almost lost my Skype again. I can't find Skype. I don't know what I'm doing. And folks, please, if you do follow that thing, please know, and I shouldn't have to explain this, I've got no problem with people who follow that, as long as you don't try and convince me that it's real, considering we had people on here that covered it being absolute bunk. And after so many predictions that have come and gone, and the latest one being today, and I heard Jonesy talking about this as well. He was talking about it. Part of me wanted to smash the screen, part of me wanted to hug him, because in no small part he helped to keep that 17th letter of the alphabet going. But even he is now telling people this is ludicrous. It's crazy. There's nothing that comes from that 17th letter of the alphabet that you can't find yourself. And I proven that a couple of times before we went and got Unirock onto the show. And love or hate Unirock, that's beside the point. He came on and he had a dossier of evidence that exactly pointed out what it was. And since that point on, we've never touched it here. And why didn't we touch it here? Because there's nothing there. Nothing that you can't find yourself. And that's the whole thing, folks. They are targeting people with hopes, and they're targeting people because of their fears. And they're aiming at a specific demographic in the audience as well. It's actually quite scientific and clever the way that they've gone about it when you break it down and analyze it. But it annoys me. Why does it annoy me? Because so many people who were joining the awakening, not the awokening, the awakening that's still going on right now, they came online to try and find the answers they were seeking. They had that niggling voice in their head telling them, I don't think the world is the way I've been taught. And the first thing they bumped into was a 17th letter of the alphabet that blew smoke up their tuchus, told them things that they wanted to hear. And sure, a lot of stuff's been learnt along the way. But a lot of money's been made on the back of it as well because of people's hopes and fears. And I can guarantee these same people will be telling you today that the third letter of every sentence of the IG report is going to be some secret code that Trump and his secret squirrel put in there. And don't worry, folks. Trust the plan. That's what they're going to tell you. I don't even need to look. And unfortunately, people are going to go for it because it's exciting and the adrenaline gets going and you feel like you're part of something that other people aren't a part of, and you're special and you're getting information that nobody else has. Only everyone else can get that information. But I'm not going to get into that because I haven't spoken about that for so long. Why haven't I spoken about it? Because it's nothing. It's irrelevant. It's truly irrelevant. And if you're looking for ways to get distracted and maybe spend too much time looking at one thing while everything else is going on, that's one of the pitfalls. Oh, dearie me. But like I say, I've got nothing. In fact, I want to reach out to people who might still be following it. So long as you're open-minded, I'm reaching out to you. Reach out to me. We can show you without any, looking down at people or thinking we're important or use our list. None of that. Let's just show you what there is to prove that there isn't much to all of that when you actually get below the surface. And that way, these people whose first taste of alternative media was something like, I don't know, that 17th letter, it could well have had the most adverse effect in the world. It could have made all of us look bad. Anyone that was following that and then woke up to the fact that, hang on a minute, there's something not right here. At that point, they may have looked at all of alternative media in the same light. And that's why it pisses me off as well, because we're having to deal with some of the stigma that's now being associated with anyone that talks about anything online with that group. So with that said, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. Greg Silverado, I absolutely second, third and fourth that. It's a load of, and I don't have my bloody censor button ready. That would have been good, wouldn't it? But yeah, folks, I want to remind you to come along tomorrow. I should be back on the safe space, same time, normal time in the afternoon. And then tomorrow night, what we're going to do is we're going to open up the phone for the full hour. I promise the full hour, because that was going crazy. We actually had to let people slip off the line today. We didn't have enough time to fit anyone in. And I thought I'd done a little bit better. Today, cutting the call times down. We got more callers in. And Andrew, I'm really keen to get Andrew. Yeah. Exactly, Lich. Exactly. Anything that tells you to trust the government. It's like to the Stars Academy, right? The minute you realise that they're full of the same CIA punks that were hiding all of the UFO truth, it gives you, it should start hoisting those red flags. But again, remember, don't rely on me, don't rely on anyone. Only you, not that thing that rhymes with you. Only you can go and get the information, and you got to use your discernment. And it's getting harder and harder with all the misinfo and disinfo out there, but never worry, never fear, because the team on KBS are near. And if we can't make sense of it, do you know what we'll do? We'll just laugh, because that's the way we roll here. So keep your mind open, keep looking for woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. Oh yeah, we're out of here. Again,